Ready?
Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum. Peace. I would like to dedicate this here DVD to the bloodline of John L. Phillips, especially the Masons, and the community at Broad. I would like to tell you my story containing Judge John L. Phillips. You know, I seen the brother the other day, Lamont Ali, and he said everybody got a story, and that's true. Everybody got a story when it comes to Mr. Phillips. He was a very amazing man. All I'm doing is telling my part of what's going on in my association with Mr. Phillips. First of all, I would like to give you a little understanding, a little background of myself, and show you how I came into this mission. Sure enough, it's a mission. Okay. I was born October 28, 1934. Alethea Hardy, or Alethea Mercy Clarence Hardy. During the 40s, like I went to school, PS11. I didn't get too much out of schooling. I remember, I was in an opportunity class, and I used to sit in the back of the class hoping that nobody don't call me for nothing. Well, that's during the 40s. Like I said, I didn't get too much out of school. During the 50s, I recall, like gang activity, running up and down the street. In fact, this very theater at that time was the Regent. It was a Regent theater. They used to show 3 movies, this here and that. And this was like I was in a gang Bishops, and this was like what we would call in our territory, uptown Bishops. Okay, during the 60s, I started, hustling. I got into the fast life, That fast life wound me up in prison. I did 8 years, and I got a reversal. And after 10 years, I came home on parole. Searching, trying to find something to do. Me and my son, like I had 3 sons, Kelvin, Damien, and Omar. Well, I always thought to have to do some type of business, with my children. So it started out with me and my son, Damien. We had a little bookstore over there on Nosen Avenue, Fragrant, whatever. My son Damien, he passed away, high blood pressure. Then me and my son Omar, we started working together. The first business up there on Nosen Avenue, the rent was too high, and we lost that place. Leaving that place, we're looking for someplace else. Coming down the street, we came to this place, 565 Nosen Avenue, which was somebody I knew named James Reeves. He was in there, and I told him that I was looking for, I was looking for a place for my pictures and books. He told me that he was looking for a partner, and he took me around to see Mr. Phillips. Mr. Phillips, he said, yeah, okay, he would give us a chance. From then on, at first I was paying Mr. Phillips $500 a month directly to Mr. Phillips. after approximately, I would say 3 months, Mr. Phillips, he asked me to take over the three buildings, to manage the three buildings, 565, 567, 563, 567, and 567, which I did, me and my son, going along pretty good. Then Mr. Phillips, like he would come by, like he would show me telling me about how somebody had taken over, was trying to sell his property. In fact, this particular day, he had a for sale sign, and he asked me to call the number. It was a property over there on Herkimer Street. At the time, it was a lot that they was using, the neighborhood was using as a parking lot. Well, I called the number, and the person who answered was named Ray Jones. And Ray Jones told me it was an open bid, and he was living somewhere there on Dean Street. Well, I called the number, as Mr. Phillips instructed me to do, and I asked what was happening. Ray Jones, at the time, he said that it was an open bid, and to just come and drop something off in his mailbox. I told Mr. Phillips. Mr. Phillips called him right back, and Mr. Phillips said that he was going to sell everything that he got. Well, like I thought this was something would go away, whatever. I didn't know anything about what was going on in Mr. Phillips' business. The next thing, Mr. Phillips, he had gave me an apartment on 567. He said I was doing a good job on the top floor in 567. Mr. Phillips gave me this apartment. I helped him. Always said I was doing a very good job for him. Somewhere down the line, I met this person called John Clark. John Clark, we didn't hit it off too good, because Mr. Phillips, he was having some type of static with John Clark. In fact, they was doing the building over there, 563, 565, and 567. They had done the roof and did something to the building or whatever, but Mr. Phillips said he didn't authorize that particular thing, and they went to court, and John Clark was not allowed to come on that side of the street. That's another story. I don't know too much about that particular incident. Now, going on, Mr. Phillips, he told me that that I was doing a good job and continue. He would do something for me one day. Now, one day I called over to Mr. Phillips, and somebody answered the phone, and I asked to speak with him. Because normally I would see Mr. Phillips on the average of 3-4 times a week or whatever. The majority of times he would come by, and he'd talk about, his what movies he wanted to make, and Mr. Phillips was the boss, but he was my friend, he was my brother, okay? Now, I called the number, and somebody answered the phone, and I asked to speak with Mr. Phillips, and they told me that he had went on a vacation, which I thought, I never heard him say anything about a vacation, and I thought it just wasn't right. I called the police, and I rode my bike from Noston to over there to Herkimer Street and waited for the police to come. So a few minutes later, the police came. I went up to the gate. The police, they went in and I rung the bell. And the first time that I seen Ray Jones was when he came to the gate with an Indian man. And they gave the police some type of documents, which the police seemed to be satisfied with, and came and told me it was something about a guardian. All right. Like I say, at that time, like the guardian, that wasn't too much. Like I didn't know anything about the guardian or whatever at that particular time. Mr. Phillips was missing. Nobody knew where Mr. Phillips was. Sometime after that, Mr. Phillips called me, and he told me that he was in somewhere near Sheepshead Bay, and asked me would I come in and pick him up. All right? At the time, I didn't have any transportation, so it was another lady that lived in his house named Miss Collins. She was staying in 563. She had a car, and her and another lady named Lou Pickett. Well, we went out. They took me out there with Mr. Phillips, saying, that he'd be to pick him up at. And we was instructed to wait, and he would be out, which we did. Sometime after that, here come Mr. Phillips. So, quite naturally, like I ran and, like I got it, shook his hand and got his suitcase, and we attempted to go back to the car. Three ladies, I guess they worked in the building or whatever, I don't even know. But they came out, they said, Mr. Phillips, signed out. And he said, yeah, okay. And we all went back in the building. And they escorted Mr. Phillips, myself, and the two ladies in this room. Once we got in there, they locked the door. Not too long after, the police came. And they looked dead at me. They said, where are you trying to take him? I really didn't know what to say. And Mr. Phillips said, no. He said, they're friends of mine. And the police, they escorted myself and the two ladies outside. And they said, well, if you had taken him off the ground, that you would have got arrested for kidnapping. Wow. Wow, I don't know what was going on. But we didn't see, I think it must have been about a week, maybe not that long, they let Mr. Phillips, they let him go. They let him go. And things seemed to be going on pretty good for a little while. But Mr. Phillips, he appeared to, he started losing weight. He looked like, normally Mr. Phillips, like a big man. Normally he weighs up in the 200 or so. But now, he looked like he might have was weighing less than 150 or whatever. So the people that was around him. He suggested that he go to the doctor. Mr. Phillips did not want to go, and we insisted so bad that the ambulance came and Mr. Phillips went off. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was either Interfaith or St. John. All what I'm saying is a part of record. Like I can prove anything that I say, 100%, not a little bit, 100%. Now, somebody said something about it with some water. Said the water was a poison or whatever. But we took the water along, we took it to the hospital, and we told the doctor when we got there. So the doctor said they didn't take the water. All they did was take Mr. Phillips, examine him, and they came back. They said, well, he doesn't have any poison, but we would like to keep him for a few days because I think they had, it was something about, I think he had a light heart attack, if I'm not mistaken. But now, while he was in the hospital, after the 3 days, I don't know, somebody called up and had Mr. Phillips removed from from St. John over to Kingbrook. Mr. Phillips walked away from there about 2 times, because at one time, they come looking for me. I don't know what that was about. So now, Kingbrook, from my understanding, they said that being that he had walked away, they didn't want to be responsible. So they had him in the emergency room. And myself, if I'm not mistaken, I remember a lady named Malika, somebody else over there was down there in the emergency room. In some kind of way that, this lady, Imani Taylor, who had came in the case pro bono. Mr. Phillips had no lawyer, whatever, I don't know what that was about. But this lady, Imani Taylor, she came in the case, and at the time she was his lawyer pro bono. But from my understanding, she had went to court and asked Judge Pest to allow her to be his guardian for, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was supposed to have been for a 6-month period of time. That wound up to being 3 years or better. But anyway, like Imani had Mr. Phillips confined to the psych unit, okay, in Kingbrook, and said nobody was supposed to go, nobody was supposed to see, to visit him, with the exception of Malika Alcindor. Malika told Imani, so she said, that I would be more so to go visit him than her. Imani put me on the visiting list. The first time that I went to see Mr. Phillips, oh boy, he was so mad. He said he was wondering what in the world that Imani had said to the judge to make her guardian over him. And he gave me some papers, which I later I gave it over to his niece, Cynthia Morse, and D. Right? Okay, so when I go there, Mr. Phillips, boy, he kept asking the doctor, there's nothing wrong with him. When he gonna release him? And the doctor told him from one story to the next. One day, Mr. Phillips got so mad, he told the doctor that if he didn't let him go, he was gonna knock him down. Not too soon after that, from my understanding, the doctor there, he told Imani that there's nothing wrong with Mr. Phillips, that he had to take him, he had to take him out of there. Imani came and she told the doctor that she was taking him home. Mr. Phillips was missing again for a week or whatever, so many days, I don't know. Nobody know where Mr. Phillips was. I got a call from Mr. Phillips. He was somewhere, he told me he was somewhere in the Bronx, 233rd Street. No, he really didn't say the Bronx, he just said 233rd Street, and both of us was trying to figure out exactly where he was, and before we could get clarification, the phone was disconnected. I called that number so many times, trying to, star 69 to get back in contact. Finally, our lady answered the phone and said that, her name was Miss Edwards, and in fact, she invited me to have dinner with Mr. Phillips. If it don't, whatever time she told me that, that I could come, she gave me directions and everything. And as soon as, I don't know if it was the next day or whatever, but I was there. I had to take the 4 to 5 up the Bronx, 233rd Street. It took me approximately 2.5 hours to get there. After I got off the train, I had to catch the bus. After I got off the bus, I had to walk maybe about a block or two, whatever. When I got to the house, nice looking house, nice fence around it. If I'm not mistaken, I think that I had to, well, I know the door was you needed a key to get in and you needed a key to get out. When I finally got in, Mr. Phillips saw me and he started packing his clothes. You know, like I didn't know what was going on. I'm sitting there, you know. So Miss Edwards, he said, where you going? Asked to Mr. Phillips. Mr. Phillips said, you don't have no papers to hold me here. Show me something. Show me something. And Miss Edwards said, break the door down. He said, you ain't going no place until I get my money. All right? Mr. Phillips said, see, you know. All right? Then Miss Edwards asked me to leave. Like I say, I wasn't there no more than 15, if that no more. You know, she asked me to leave. I ain't had nothing, no supper, whatever she promised me. But I had to leave her house. All right. The next week, when I got back to Brooklyn, I told the people, you know, what was going on, and especially one lady, her name was Clara Jones. She was a very good friend of Mr. Phillips. She said that she was gonna get on the radio. I think at the time it was Maddox, Arthur Maddox. I think he was narrating. I don't know if it was WLIB or Sharp Talk or whatever, but she said that she was going to get on, tell them on the radio that Mr. Phillips was kidnapped. Right? The following week, I was invited up there again. And basically the same thing happened again. This time, Mr. Phillips, he got in the window this time and said, call the police, right? I came back. So sometime within that time, this lady, she did get on the program, Maddox, and told about, you know, that Mr. Phillips was kidnapped. And if I'm not, I remember that Maddox, he said that he was going to try to find out what was going on. I don't know what happened with that. Now, it went on that a 3 day after she got on the radio, Imani said that she was going to allow Mr. Phillips to come to the neighborhood. If I'm not mistaken, it was for 3 days. And I was excited to go up there and pick him up. Myself, Jimmy Wynn, and this lady friend, we went. I gave somebody $25 to drive me up there because, like I didn't know my way in the Bronx. Remember, at this time I had a 91 Ford van, right? So we got up there, so we went and asked for, Mr. Phillips. Miss Edwards told me to get off of her property. I said, Miss Edwards, they told me, she said, Hardy, get off of my property. I left and I called back, and Malika, she was here in the slave at the time. I told her that Miss Edwards would not allow Mr. Phillips to leave. She said, I'll call you back, which she did, and told me to go back and pick up Mr. Phillips. I went back, and Miss Edwards, she allowed Mr. Phillips to go and gave medicine for, I think, about 3 or 4 days. I brought Mr. Phillips back to Brooklyn, and when we got back here, me and a lady named Miss Robertson, she's affiliated with the Message of Christ Church. Me and her, we rode around trying to find somewhere for Mr. Phillips to stay. All these houses that he got, but this was the case. We finally wind up in Queens, a hotel. Miss Robertson, she paid $100 and some odd for one night for Mr. Phillips to stay there. She had a bed brought up to his room, you know, so she could stay up there, you know, with him. I stayed in my van all night. The next morning, you know, I went up and, you know, we started on our journey, you know, trying to find Mr. Phillips somewhere to stay. But it was the next night, basically it was the same things. He paid another $100 and he stayed there again. The same procedures. The third night, Malika, she said that we could bring him down to her house. You know, if I'm not mistaken, she was living on South Oxford. She said her son, her oldest son, or one of her sons, he was not there. Him and his daughter, his young daughter, was not there, and she would allow us to come and stay there with Mr. Phillips. Mr. Phillips had the large room, with the sunroom, and I was in the daughter's smaller room. Sometime after that, Malika, Imani, she came and said that she was not going to pay for me staying there. So I left, and I came over to 155 Herkimer Street at Mr. Phillips' house. Came over there. But I would go every morning about 7:30, and I would pick up Mr. Phillips. He'd be standing right there on the stoop waiting for me. Okay? We'd come back to the slave, or, you know, like he'd conduct his business or whatever. Now, what arrangement that Imani, Malika, and her son had, you know, like I don't know fully, but, you know, that they was paying, he was paying, Imani was paying, you know, them, whatever. Now, it came a time that we go there, something happened. From my understanding, Imani was not getting no money, and so she went off to Africa, some, you know, we're all on the record, whatever, you know. So when I take Mr. Phillips there in the evening, we can't get in the door. So we bring him back, and Imani, Malika, she told her son, don't be locking Mr. Phillips out, whatever. But this happened again. So Mr. Phillips told me, well, to take him, he tired of this. He said, take him over to his house, 68 Herkimer Street, which I did. And he started staying there. All right? Now, Mr. Phillips had always been asking Imani about his money. Where's his money? And she told him that she was going to open up a bank account somewhere. Right? So this particular day, you know, like I was sitting in the back with Mr. Phillips, looking over his mail, his documents or whatever, and Imani came to the door. Mr. Phillips left thinking that he was going to open up the bank account. I don't know what that situation was. But he left. And we thought, you know, we'd be back about 5, 6 o'clock or whatever, but no Mr. Phillips. Sometime that evening, I got a call from, if I'm not mistaken, it was John O'Hara, and he said that Mr. Phillips was over in the Bronx in the veteran place. He said that it was said that on the way to the bank or wherever they were supposed to have been going, Imani said that Mr. Phillips grabbed his heart. So she take him from Brooklyn to the veteran place in the Bronx. So the next day, myself and Clyde Jones, we went out to the veteran place in the Bronx, and Mr. Phillips said there's nothing wrong with him, and you know, like, you don't know. The next day or sometime within the week, Mr. Phillips was transferred from the veteran place to East Haven Nursing Home. Now, the first time that I went to see Mr. Phillips, I went there as a visit. Miss Edwards, who we later found out was Imani's mother. We didn't know that. Okay? Now, Cynthia Moss, she had asked me to be to assist Mr. Phillips, to relieve Imani's mother, and for me to take her place, which I did gladly. All right. Like I said, when I first went there, Mr. Phillips had a watch locked on his arm with some type of metal detector or whatever, you know. Mr. Phillips continuously try, you know, they know that he would try to get away, all right? Now, Mr. Phillips, they made a tape, what we call a living will, up there in the East Haven nursing home, all right? Now, 2 years he stayed there, object all the way, all right? Now they had a custody hearing. I remember Judge Pesh, he called me to the stand, or I was called to the stand, and they asked me that Boynton asked me to assist him with Mr. Phillips. I said, no. He said, did Cynthia Morse ask me? I said, yes, she did. All right? He asked me how long would I assist Mr. Phillips. I told him as long as he needed me. Now, like I say, Judge Pesser sent somebody up to East Haven Nursing Home to, to interview Mr. Phillips, which way he wanted to go. Remember, Boynton at the time, I guess he had put in how he would take care of Mr. Phillips. I think his what he needed, I think, was somewhere in the neighborhood of $100,000. I don't know if it was a month or whatever. But what Cynthia Morse, what she submitted was much less than that. In fact, I volunteer my my services, right? Now, Mr. Phillips, he was that particular day, we came into court. Mr. Phillips was there. Boynton was there. Who was in the court? The jury advocate or the investigator or whatever you call him, he took the stand and they asked him, what did Mr. Phillips say? He said, Mr. Phillips said that he did not trust Boynton no more than he did Imani Taylor. I guess he said a couple more choice words, but like I said, it's all in the record. Right? Boynton was so shocked what Mr. Phillips said, he raised up out of his seat. I was sitting right behind him, see him. Now, all the time that Boynton would call Mr. Phillips, remember, I'm there from 6 o'clock in the morning up until 2 or 3 o'clock in the evening. I'm the one that answered the phone. All right? Now, every time Boynton would call, I tell Mr. Phillips something about you. Boynton or his nephew, Mr. Phillips say he don't know him, and what do you say? Is he my family? I said, I don't know. I don't know nothing about him, or I just know Mr. Phillips. Okay? I don't know about the people, right? I don't know nothing about them people. Okay? Now, he said he does not have these no Boyntons in his family. Oh, okay. Now, Mr. Phillips was transferred from East Haven Nursing Home to Prospect Park 1. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was someplace in April, somewhere along in there. But from day one, I was asked by Ezra Glazier to assist Mr. Phillips. I would get there 6 o'clock in the morning up until, like I say, 2 or 3 o'clock in the evening. Oh, by the way, after Boynton didn't get the case to take care of Mr. Phillips, he was appointed to be standby guardian. Remember when he came up here in 2006, $300,000 was put up here, was put up for him to take over the guardianship from Cynthia Morse. Remember, when Boynton come up here, y'all think he just had some bus fare, right? But now he got connected with Cahill, and $300,000 was put up with Boynton. Was put up to Boynton. Oh, please. So I'm trying to take care of business. Tell him. Go ahead. Was put up with Boynton, right? Now, after he didn't get the appointment, like I said, they made him standby guardian. Oh, Boynton, he was so mad. I remember him telling me, he was going to go back to Ohio and he was going to call all these different agencies to try, to get to knock Cynthia Morse out from being the guardian. All right. On February the 15th. Remember, all the time that Mr. Phillips was in Prospect Park, I remember seeing him 2, maybe 3 times for a minute or 2. The man did not visit that. I mean, if he visited him, he didn't spend no time with him at all, period. Okay, Mr. Phillips did not like this guy. Whatever they said, that doesn't concern me. I'm just telling you what it is. All right. Now on the 15th of February, I was just, like I said, after Miss Mary get there, I leave. So like I said, she normally get there anywhere from 2 to 3 o'clock. From 2 to 3 o'clock. Okay. So now when he came in, see, Cynthia Morse had told me, don't trust Boynton with Mr. Phillips. Right. Okay, so now because when I leave Mr. Phillips, I come over and open up the slave because they was trying to steal the place, still trying to steal, the building. Believe me, badly. Now, Mr. Phillips, Boynton is there. He's sitting over there. Mr. Phillips, for whatever reason, he's a hottie. He said, if it don't be for you, I don't know what I would have done. I said, thanks, Mr. Phillips. Tell him. So I said nothing to him. A couple of minutes later, the telephone rang. This lady named Miss Robinson. She asked to speak with Boynton. I gave him, called him to the phone. He wasn't on the phone, I'd say maybe a couple of minutes. And he come out, they sold slave 2 for 1.5. And God knows, I don't remember the man saying bye. Remember now, there was another lady named Miss Mary. She was there. She was right there. Huh? God. Now, Mr. Phillips, he was hurt. Me and Miss Mary, we would try to say something to help him out, to soothe him, whatever you want to call it. Huh? The telephone rang. This time, it's Cahill, guardian of property. He asked me to speak with Boynton. Everybody knows that Boynton going to be here this day. I said, he just left. I said, they sold slave 2 for 1.5? Cahill said, I don't know nothing about that. He said, the less that I would let it go for is 1.6. That was it. I called Miss Robinson to find out where did she get that from. Miss Robinson say she don't know nothing about that. She didn't tell Boynton nothing like that. Wow. Now, I thought everything was, was settled. I left. The next morning, by chance, I got there at 5:30 the next morning. Normally, like I say, from April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, 10 months, I was there every morning. You count up the hours, the minutes, or whatever. I said every morning. It might have been a day or two that I didn't get there early because I had a doctor's appointment or whatever. But to check the record, all what I'm telling you is in the record. All right? Now, I got there at 5:30. I go upstairs. See, normally Mr. Phillips put his coffee table and his chair to the door, so more or less, so anybody come in, behind, he would hear, and he would have a chance, like Mr. Phillips was a con-fru judge, whatever, like I never seen him in action, but I heard he was good. He was a black belt or whatever. So when I come in, I noticed that the table wasn't pressed to the door like it normally be. When I come in the door, Hardy, yes sir, Mr. Phillips. And the next thing, I went and I checked his chart. And his chart was 314. I'll never forget for the longest day of my life. His chart was 314. I said, Mr. Phillips, you all right? He said, yeah. He said, I'm all right. And I called his niece, Cynthia Morse. And I told her, I said, what happened? And she said, yes. She said, Miss Mary called her the night before. She said, just check his next reading, to let her know what was going on. The next reading, the pressure, whatever, had went down. And everything appeared to be, normal, whatever. So now, when it got time for us to go, to go to breakfast, Mr. Phillips was not, he was walking, I couldn't, normally, like when I'll be walking with Mr. Phillips, especially in the, when we go down there to the dining room, it was basically like old Jewish ladies or whatever. Mr. Phillips was the only black man in there and a judge. Now, when behind everybody mostly in there, they knew that Mr. Phillips was a judge. Okay, so now when we come in, being that, like I was his escort, I would be in front of him and he would be following me to his table, whatever, And the people, like they would call me over to the table and they would add over to their table and they would ask me, was it anything in the paper about him? Because normally it was something in the paper about Mr. Phillips about 2 or 3 times a week or whatever, about the wrongdoing that they were doing to him. Right? And, I remember they always say, oh, y'all taking such a good care of the judge. One day somebody, they had left a note, a letter on the table and commended him on how, of his elegancy, And they say, God bless you, Mr. Hardy. You understand what I'm saying? Okay. Mr. Phillips always liked to be amongst the last to leave the table. So Mr. Phillips said, okay, let's go. And like I say, Mr. Phillips, I had to walk side by side with Mr. Phillips. That's how slow he was walking. Right? We got on the elevator and we got just about to the 9th floor. And Mr. Phillips started sliding down the wall. I said, Mr. Phillips, what you doing? He said, help me out, Hardy. That's the last thing he said in this world. It seemed as though if I could just get him up, I could, we could walk off this room. 9:15. But I got him halfway, but I couldn't get him all the way up. I said, hit that, Mr. Phillips. I pressed the button to get to the fourth floor. You had to press a certain code to get to the fourth floor. And got to the fourth floor, and the doors open. There was a lady standing there, and she see Mr. Phillips sitting off over there on the corner. She said, I'll go get the nurse. When the nurse came, she had the wheelchair. Me and the nurse picked Mr. Phillips all the way up, and he just looked like he just collapsed. She said, lay him out. And we're still on the elevator. She gave him CPR, and she gave him mouth-to-mouth respiration. I'm standing there looking right down at Mr. Phillips. Finally, we had called 911, and I called his niece. I called everybody, that was close. Okay. Now, the fire department, they came. They did whatever they could do. And finally, the ambulance came. They put him on the stretcher, and they was studying, doing this or doing that, 2 police ladies, they taken me over to Methodist Hospital. When I got there, they told me to, sit off in the room, whatever. Not too long after, came and said he was dead when he got there. That was that. When I got back, the guy, I think his name was Jim, the person that was in charge of Prospect Park, he asked for the keys. Got all Mr. Phillips, court papers. I left some stuff in there too, whatever. Now, Cynthia Morse, who I don't know if I said it before, but Cynthia Morse. Remember, I told you, I'm the one who answered the phone all the time. All the time that I'm there, 90% of the time, it was me to answer the phone. I heard all conversation, and I heard so many times that Mr. Phillips said that all that he got would go to Cynthia Morse and her family, her children, whatever. So many times. Yeah? Boynton, the only time I heard him say anything about him, it was negative. It was negative. He was no good. The man, I don't know who Boynton is, but that's not my business, right? Now, as far as J&J is not in the estate of Mr. Phillips. If they, like a day or two ago, I heard Boynton is calling and telling something about somebody didn't pay the water bill or this here bill, but did he pay it? He said it belongs to a state. So now, what happened? In 2007, after what year was this here now? When they sold those 3 apartments, they stole those 3 apartment buildings over there on Herkimer Street. They got Mr. Phillips, after they finished, they got $871,000. That was any money paid on anything over here? Did the Guardians do anything about paying any of these bills that they say? Let's check the records. It reads like a book. There's no question about it. I don't know what they doing, but I know they stealing. One day today, tomorrow, or whatever, this thing will be investigated. How they could, take a judge down, have everything that he objected to, they did anyway. You follow me? I mean, like I say, all that I say is a matter of record. It's respect, some kind of way. Respect the man, a judge, investigate it. If they investigate me, investigate the whole situation. Find out how in the world that now, first of all, I told you that Mr. Phillips didn't live 24 hours after this guy come up there with a lie, a planned lie. A planned lie. It's proven. This guy, he told me he didn't expect that to happen. I don't know what he expected. Okay? Now, all wills they don't turn in judges' will. God, I mean, there's so many different things that's happening in this here case here, and they talking about, I don't have no standing. Come on, what is this? You follow me? Oh, wow. Now, about a year later, I get something from the surrogate court telling me that that I should give Boynton the keys or $4,000 a month starting from December 2004. Mr. Phillips wasn't even dead in 2004. Okay? Now they're talking about Mr. Phillips incapacitated. Oh my God! Listen. Like I say, oh wow. Okay, so now they had hired this lawyer named Paul Sneer. This man, he violated everything. Oh man, he came at me with, everything that he did was wrong. Being that I didn't have no lawyer, they just took advantage, they violated my civil rights or whatever you want to say. They violated it, right? Then, in the clerk, I didn't have no money to, like I went to court in January, and I asked them for a lawyer. I couldn't get no lawyer, so what am I gonna do? I got somebody who assisted me in filing motion. Go down there to the clerk. They tell me that I need a lawyer. If I ain't got no money, what am I gonna do? All right? The first motion that I filed, I got in. Now when I get to court, that guy Sneer, he wrote a cross motion or this or that, and when I got to court, Miss Johnson in the circuit court, she asked me, did I want to leave my motion stand, or do I want to answer Sneer cross motion? Well, I was told, to answer everything. They put out something, me answer something, right? I did. I told her that I wanted to answer Sneer cross motion, which I did. The same person who filled out my first motion, filled out the second motion. I sent it in by mail, my address or whatever, telephone number, everything is on the paper. When I get to court, I don't see my name outside. I go inside, and the clerk that sit with Miss Johnson, I think his name is Facilio, I believe. He told me that I had to 5 o'clock to put something else in. I didn't understand what's going on, whatever my motion. I go downstairs and they give me some papers that I don't, I'm not no lawyer, whatever. Right? I come back over to the slave, and somebody assisted me in writing a letter to Miss Johnson, asking her for a little time to get this thing together. Facilio said no. Right? A few days after that, I got a letter from the court saying that I had lost, or my motion wasn't structured right, or out of time, or this here, that there, and boom, that was it. about approximately about maybe a month, I don't know, I got a letter from the circuit court, Ms. Johnson, saying I lost on default because I didn't file a motion to dismiss. Oh my God. The same person, we are ordered to show cause to the Supreme Court, suing the city for $100 million, suing the clerk for $20 million. Right? When I get to court, the Supreme Court, the first day, the Judge Richard, Judge Smith, he asked the two people, the two white people that was in court, what were they there for? And they told him that they were the city or whatever, city and the clerk. I was suing him. He said, he should have sued you. Oh man, I felt so good. Wow, you know, I know I'm gonna get something, right? And he told me, he said, when you come back to court, he said, if you don't have a lawyer, he said, I'm gonna dismiss the city. I'm gonna dismiss the suit. Right? Okay, so about I was supposed to come back on the 7th. But whatever day, it was about 3 or 4 days before court date when this lady, she came in and she asked me, what do we do in here? So, you know, I went to telling her about, Mr. Phillip, and I need a lawyer. She said, I'm a lawyer. And she gave me her card. I believe the next day or so, I went to see her, and she asked me to bring her, my court paper. Well, I had two folders. I had a folder from the circuit court, and I had a folder that I just started in the Supreme Court. Well, I took her the papers from the circuit court, took it over to her. So she said, no. She said, no, not this. She said, I want she told me, she wrote out the particular number that she wanted, right? And told me to go down to the court and get this particular case, right? Now, then, I remembered that, that I had that number, in the next folder. So I went back and I got that paper, I got that folder, and, put it back. What I'm saying is, she said that she just happened to be passing by, and whatever, but, can I tell you? Now, when we get to court, when when they check when they come in and check the chart, and sneer some kind of way he's seen